Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to No Limits Wrestling. And still to come in this part, Randy Orton will go one-on-one with Chris Jericho. A rivalry renewed tonight. What a match that will be. Still to come here tonight on No Limits Wrestling. Happy holidays, everybody, and I hope you're enjoying the show so far. It's about to get a whole lot better, as we've got one hell of a hardcore championship match on our way. And here he comes, the self-proclaimed King of Hardcore, Hardcore Holly. The only two-time champion in NLW history, a two-time NLW Hardcore champion. And as mentioned before, AJ Styles, last week I did mention that he was injured and will be back in time for the WrestleMania pay-per-view. However, it was Hardcore Holly who took him out of action. But he's resting up and healing. But Hardcore Holly looking to injure some more people tonight. But he's got a hell of a long way to doing so if you're going to be in the ring with two monsters. The first of which is Kane. This is going to be a triple threat hardcore championship match, and last week Kane was brutally assaulted last week in the backstage area by Test. So the commissioner gave Kane a rematch, a one-on-one match with Test, and that was scheduled for Retribution. Kane wants to get his hands on Test at Retribution, but he would also like to do so here tonight, and in doing so could become the Hardcore Champion. Kane stares down Hardcore Holly. I don't think Hardcore Holly really wants to look into those eyes, those dark eyes of Kane, as he waits for his rival. Test. Here he comes, the man who betrayed Kane at the Royal Rumble and ever since has had hell to pay. Kane has yet to get his hands on Test. Last week Test assaulting Kane and said that it was only the beginning. Test is aiming to make Kane's life a living hell, but Hardcore Holly from behind attacks Kane, and we've got this hardcore title match underway already. Hardcore Holly with stiff shots to the back of Kane, and now has him on the floor and vicious kicks to the stomach of Kane. Kane must still be sore after last week, but he is a monster, and Test reluctant to get into the ring. This is a triple threat hardcore championship match, so Hardcore Holly does not have to be pinned to lose his title, and as Kane with an onslaught on Hardcore Holly, Hardcore Holly not blocking those punches at all, taking the full brunt of them. Tries to go for the tap, but Kane with a vicious clothesline, and Bob Holly's down on the mat. But now Test in the ring and sent straight out again. Kane disposes of Test indefinitely. Test trying to get an early advantage, but Kane on the apron, but nobody home. Comes colliding with the barricade, and now Test is on the pounce, if you will. And now vicious shots to the back of Kane. Kane not 100% after last week, but look at Test, those vicious eyes, and sends Kane steering him into the steel steps, and Kane flips over, and that did a number on him, his body and his head hurting. Hardcore Holly in the ring might want to get a piece of the action, but what the hell is Test doing? He did the damage last week, and oh my goodness, with those steel steps on the head of Kane, all of the weight of those steel steps coming down on Kane, and my goodness, he might need some help, for God's sake. And Holly with a spear to Test, but I'm really concerned for Kane's health and well-being. Those heavy steel steps drop right on his head, and good grief. Well, he's been left in the ring, not a chance to win the title yet, but an elbow by Test in the backstage area, and a nightstick. Test and Holly gonna brawl throughout the backstage area, inevitable in these hardcore championship matches. Test lining up to give another shot to Hardcore, but Holly with a ladder to the face of Test. Hardcore Holly, they don't call him the King of Hardcore for nothing, is very resourceful with his surroundings, as Test is about to find out. Suplexing the ladder right onto Test's stomach, and that'll leave you with some bruising. May not have a very Merry Christmas if Hardcore Harley has his way with Test. But he is in a different part of the arena and now lining up against that equipment. Not meant to be used. But as Test awaits Hardcore Harley. Harley is about to strike best. But Test turns it around on the leverage through that equipment and those tables. But a kick out by Hardcore Harley after 2. Good grief, left destruction, and you can see why. Test, the monster, reversing the leverage, as you'll see here in the replay. Test turns it around, and what a reversal that was. Through those 2 tables set up. And there's a door to another part of the arena, and Hardcore Harley, oh wait a minute, Test, vicious! Good grief, slams the door shut on Hardcore Harley, both figuratively and literally. There you see, they've gone to another part of the arena, and now Hardcore Harley's down, it would seem. Test is about to strike again, and, well, a traffic cone off their skull. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Hardcore Harley picking a traffic cone out of mid-air and using it to his advantage against Test, but they're heading back out here into the arena, and Test crawling across the arena floor as Hardcore Harley goes after him yet again. He looks to seek refuge under the ring, but a chair shot. Good grief, a chair shot from nowhere to Hardcore Harley, and Test has suddenly got this match in control. Another chair shot to Hardcore Harley, and vicious style by Test. The monster goes after him, and another chair shot to the skull this time. Maybe lucky to escape with concussion. He's going to go for another chair shot, but Kane back up. Kane's back up, and the monster, you can't keep him down, with vicious strikes to the face of Test in the middle of the ring. Kane has Test in a prone position, and this is the revenge he's wanted. Just a sample of what we're going to see at Retribution when these two face one-on-one against each other. And a leg drop by Kane to the back of the skull of Test. Goes after him now. He is in deep trouble, and a massive clothesline by the monster to the other monster. The former tag team champions are beating each other up here. Kane taunts Test to get up off of the mat. And Test in deep trouble. This move that has put out many men in the past. The tombstone pile driver to Test. And Kane is moments away from becoming the new NLW Hardcore Champion. He sets up, taunts for the chokeslam. Test stirring. But oh wait a minute, Hardcore Harley back up. You see there, there's a roll-up. Is this going to be it? And it is a roll-up cover, and Kane caught completely off guard. And he cannot believe it, but Hardcore Harley, the man has managed to retain his Hardcore Championship for a 3rd straight time. A 3rd straight successful title defense for Hardcore Harley. And Kane came ever so close. But in the end, it was inevitable. The roll-up sealed it. As we look back at the replay, this was about Kane wanting revenge on Test. He did that. But when he was about to win the Hardcore title, Hardcore Harley sneaks up behind and gets the 1-2-3 and is still your NLW Hardcore Champion. Looks at Kane in the ring. Kane looks annoyed, but none more so than his animosity towards Test. This is the main story here. Test has seen what Kane is capable of, and he's not going to like it one bit. Hardcore Harley may still be Hardcore Champion, but Kane and Test are more livid than ever. I'm so pumped up for WrestleMania. It's going to be one hell of an extraordinary night in a few months' time. But coming up next, a spontaneous bout, it would seem. This match has only arisen since just last week. If you're a fan of the program, you would know that last week the NLW Tag Team Champions Kofi Kingston and R-Truth were brutally assaulted backstage by The Miz and Mr. Kennedy. Now they're two men with egos from here to next week, but you know, two men who aren't usually seen together, but it would have appeared last week that they have formed some sort of pact and are out to take out the Tag Team Champions, Miz and Kennedy, looking to dominate the Tag Team division, but there are still two men stood in their way. One of them is one half of the NLW Tag Team Champions, R-Truth. R-Truth and Kofi Kingston, like I said, both assaulted backstage last week by The Miz and Mr. Kennedy. And following that assault, it was announced that at Retribution for the NLW Tag Team Championships, Kofi Kingston and R-Truth will defend against Mr. Kennedy and The Miz. It would appear that Mr. Kennedy and The Miz are now the newest tag team in NLW. I'm sure The Miz is tired of losing, and possibly with one of the best young rising stars in Mr. Kennedy, can form one hell of a tag team that may win the titles at Retribution and could possibly defend them at WrestleMania, and that would be one hell of a thing to accomplish for such a young team. As Miz goes after R-Truth, but R-Truth with the hip lock, and R-Truth has more experience over Miz, and you see there, caught out early on. Is this it? Is it already over? But instead Miz kicks out. And there you see, that is why Miz has lost so many matches. A lapse in concentration there, and R-Truth almost had the win very early. But now he's going to go after R-Truth and try and rectify some of those mistakes, and he went after the arm. And that's obviously his strategy, to target a body part, and that's smart, it's working, but R-Truth kicks out, and oh, what a boot to the head. What a boot to the head by Miz. Miz obviously won, not with much luck here in the company, but would like to change that here tonight. Ironically, has not won, despite being claimed to be awesome. He seems to be awesome at the moment. Vicious knees to the stomach of R-Truth as he's hung up in the ropes. R-Truth hanging like a fly, he doesn't know where the hell he is. Miz gotta watch out for that. R-Truth quick and crafty. Much more experience, as mentioned before, over the Miz. As R-Truth on the top rope, big splash, but Miz reverses it. Miz turns it around into a cover, and almost R-Truth got caught out by the arrogant man from Cleveland, Ohio. Miz now backed into the corner by R-Truth. Truth wailing on Miz, wants revenge, and he's gonna get it tonight, hopefully for him. Oh, but a rake to the eyes by Miz, and now Miz goes after on the assault, knee to the spine, and Miz, well, he's gonna go for the neck breaker, but a slap by R-Truth. Truth on the offensive now. Miz planted face first into the mat. R-Truth now taunting Miz to get up off of the canvas. He's in a dazed state of confusion and shock, but Miz moves out of the way. R-Truth face first into the turnbuckle, goes for the clothesline, but R-Truth catches him out. Truth catches him out, and here's the cover. The finishing maneuver that does it all. And the Miz evidently still has a lot to learn before he's going to challenge the Tag Team Champions. Mr. Kennedy must be watching his performance, and I can imagine he wouldn't be that happy with that. The bond hasn't been broken, but R-Truth hopes it will be. Truth has done his job for the team, as you see in the replay. Miz, rookie mistake, and R-Truth capitalizes on it. The Miz in the ring, still looking for his first victory, and he could get it at Retribution in the Tag Team Championship match. We've seen R-Truth and Miz tonight, but in future we will see Mr. Kennedy go up against Kofi Kingston. Maybe that'll happen next week. But certainly, R-Truth has stated to Miz that him and Kofi Kingston will not be dethroned easily. I'm getting ahead of myself, but coming up next, Chris Jericho goes one-on-one with the Viper Randy Orton. Two of the War Games participants will collide right after this. Wow, what a match that's going to be. The groundbreaking show set to take NLW by storm. It is NLW Metal, and it will premiere Christmas Day for a Christmas special. Episode 1, Wednesday 25th of December, Christmas special Metal, and what a way to kick off the premiere of our brand new show. Two participants in the War Games match collide. Batista versus The Big Show. Two gigantic monsters set to collide on the premiere of Metal. And a premiere wouldn't be anything without a champion versus champion bout. A blockbuster main event set for Metal. All this and much more festive greetings. Wednesday 25th of December for the Christmas premiere of Metal. Cena versus Del Rio on Metal, that'll be something. And so will this match, featuring two of the War Games participants. And the first man to make his way to the ring is the man who's hoping to bounce back here tonight. Y2J, Chris Jericho. Last week on our program, Chris Jericho, after coming in number 1 in the Rumble, faced off against Chris Benoit and lost. And he did offer his hand in respect, only to slap Benoit square in the mouth. And the ultimate sign of disrespect by Jericho last week has Benoit angry and annoyed. However, tonight he faces Benoit's captain in the form of the Viper. And if I were Chris Jericho, I wouldn't want to be standing across the ring from this guy. He is, as before mentioned, the Viper, Randy Orton. He is a coiled snake ready to strike, and last week, in a face-to-face confrontation with Batista, vowed to once again become World Heavyweight Champion once he was done with Batista and his team inside the War Games structure. You see there, Orton's team members supporting him at ringside, as are Jericho's team members. And as we prepare for this epic co-main event, we've got to take into account that these men, this isn't the first time they've squared off. We remember last year at Intensity, our first pay-per-view, it was vintage NLW, as Orton's having all the control over Jericho. Last year at Intensity, Randy Orton lost to Chris Jericho in a no disqualification match, thanks to interference from, coincidentally, Jericho's teammate in the War Games match, Kevin Nash. Little history lesson there, but Jericho with the momentum at the moment with a headlock on Randy Orton applied. And now Jericho has Orton in the prone position and hangs him up on the ropes, and good grief, that must have done a number on his ribs. And so will this. Vicious kicks by Jericho straight to Orton's stomach as he goes straight after the Viper yet again. And the veteran Jericho, who's been in the business longer than Orton, Although Orton is a third generation superstar, may come to his advantage later on in this match. As you see there, an uppercut on the clothesline by Randy Orton to Chris Jericho. Orton now, knee drop to the face, right down on the temple of Chris Jericho, and now Orton back on the headlock. As Christmas approaches, be an early present if one of these men can pick up the victory for their team. Now Orton, vintage DDT. Jericho is flat down on the mat at the moment as Orton drags him away yet again. And these are the snake-like instincts to go full on against Chris Jericho. The vicious punches to the skull, but Jericho again back in control from behind, sends Orton straight down on the mat. And Y2J can build momentum here. He's doing so, but a slap by Orton. Good grief, what a slap by Orton to the face of Jericho. That must have hurt. But Jericho right back at it with a clothesline to Orton. Here's the first cover of the matchup, but Orton easily kicks out. You see Nash there. Earlier tonight, lost to Chris Benoit, did Kevin Nash. And wait a minute, Orton now. Here's that scoop slam that he's famous for. Orton, if he can hit some of those signature maneuvers, can put away opponents quite easily. Jericho is in trouble at the moment, and he's sent straight into the ring post, steel ring post, shoulder first. That's not going to help at all. As Orton now places Jericho on the top rope, and it's not often we see the high risk maneuvers by Orton, but nevertheless, superplex from the top rope by Orton. Here's the cover, and Jericho just about manages to roll over the shoulder. But what a superplex from the top rope by Randy Orton. Jericho down at the moment, trying to get his bearings about him. But Randy Orton with the huge superplex from the top rope as we take a look at it again. Good grief. An incredible height they fell. And Jericho now is in Orton's grasp. Oh, wait a minute. Orton. Jericho had him scouted, but not that time. Orton with a roll up. And Jericho could have easily been caught out yet again by Randy Orton. Orton's lucky, but Jericho back up, and what an enziguri by Jericho. One of the maneuvers he's famous for, a high-flying style now by Jericho. As he taunts for Orton to get up off of the mat, and he does. And now Jericho. There's another bulldog by Jericho to Orton. He turns onto his stomach, and that's not going to be good for him, because Jericho now, here's the lion salt, but Orton had the knees up. Orton had that one scouted, and that did huge damage to the ribs of Chris Jericho, landing right on the knees. And now Orton is in that place he goes. Here's the backbreaker, and that series of maneuvers has Jericho reeling. And you got to believe that right now Orton is planning on giving a huge RKO to Chris Jericho. He's setting him up. He's waiting for Jericho, but Jericho reverses that. And the lion salt connects this time. Is this going to be all? But it is not. Randy Orton just about kicks out again. As Team Orton looks on. You see there the captain of the opposing team, Batista, pleased with what he sees from his teammate Jericho. Orton hung up to dry, but Jericho on the top rope comes colliding to the back of the head with the axe handle. Orton now, the tables have turned, and Jericho motions for Orton to get up. Orton looks shifty and suspicious, but Jericho, is he going to get something here? But he doesn't. Throttled by the throat and sent into the turnbuckle is Jericho. Randy Orton now, oh well, I was going to say he was in control, but not now. He's dragged to the other side of the ring, and there are the walls. The walls of Jericho are locked in, and this has made many men tap in the past. Jericho with the walls applied fiercely to Randy Orton. Orton, you can see there, has nowhere to go, but at least he's in his own corner. Jericho putting all the pressure on those legs and the back, but Orton just about manages to get to the ropes, and he's dropped down. Good grief. Incredible matchup we're witnessing here live on NLW. The festive season. And Jericho's thinking what he has to do. He looks for Batista for support. He doesn't know what he has to do to beat Orton. But here's the RKO. And out of nowhere, Randy Orton has turned this around. All he has to do is make the cover, and I think he's won it. Yes, he does. He makes the cover. Here's the cover. Is it 2? And well, that should be 3, but for God's sake. Kevin Nash distracting the ref on the apron. A distraction by Kevin Nash for the referee, but look at this. Big Show pulls Kevin Nash down, and now the War Games teams. The War Games teams are battling it out here. Benoit, Ray, Big Show attacking Nash and Alberto Del Rio. Chaos has erupted, and we knew it would. Referee trying to sort out the chaos on the outside. The referee's distracted by what's happening out there. Wait a minute, what the hell is this? And that's a perfect opportunity for Batista to insert himself into the match. While the referee was distracted, and for God's sake, don't tell me it's going to end like this.
1, 2, 3!
Wow. Cheap victory for Team Batista. Thanks to interference by Batista, Chris Jericho has a victory over the Viper. And he's so damn proud of himself. But if it wasn't for the referee distraction by the outside, then Batista wouldn't have been able to spear Orton into oblivion. Good grief. Batista has a number up on Orton, and so does Jericho in some respect. It was Jericho for the most part, but an RKO by Orton almost had it until Nash was taken off the apron and the brawl was erupted, and that was the perfect opportunity for Batista to sneak in during the commotion. And now as Team Orton stands in the ring, they look at Team Batista, who celebrate on the stage. Chris Jericho picked up a hard-earned victory if it wasn't for that last act of evil by Batista. Nevertheless, goes down in the record books as a loss. And the momentum that Team Orton was thought to had has suddenly been stunted, and I cannot wait for the War Games match at Retribution. All of this chaos tonight, but still another huge main event to go. Live here tonight. Next week in part 3, John Cena and The Undertaker team up to take on the reunited D-Generation X. It is going to be a hell of a match. If you want to see it, subscribe.